And we are live on another edition of the K&K Sports Show. Spring break edition for some teachers, including myself and Jenny Hoops. A couple comments right out of the gate. Henry Zimenoff, brace yourselves. Miguel Cabrera is one hit away from 3,000. Coach Breslin saying, "What's up, Kenny?" So Coach Breslin giving a shout out to Mr. Kirkpatrick.
What's up? What's up, Coach?
All right, so let's go around the board. We have a big night going on. But before we get to that, let's do our opening statements. Mr. Rosen, floor is yours. How are you?
Good evening, gentlemen. Looking forward to a great show. I know we have a new sports enthusiast coming on, and looking forward to speaking and meeting with him. So, hey, let's go.
Yeah, some breaking news. Ryan Woodhams, Scoop was the nickname, will be coming on roughly in the around 8 o'clock to do a little MLB segment, a little Yankees, Mets, and a little around the league. Coach Breslin saying, "Hi, everyone. Kirk bat drop should be from AC. I am back from AC. Mr. Siciliano, before I get to you, do you know what tomorrow is, Mr. Siciliano?
Yeah, the day you got to go to the bank and put all that money you won in Atlantic City in.
I wish. I absolutely wish. That is not the case, but tomorrow, Mr. Siciliano, are you ready for this? And I don't want to hear any comments because you're going to get asked about it in a second. But Mr. Valenti starts his diet tomorrow.
Oh.
No comment.
Mr. Valenti starts his diet. And in terms for our great friend up there, Mr. Briggs, this is the word we always used to say when we talked about diets. Tomorrow I start back to my slim fit mode.
I hear crumb cake crying.
There will be no crumb cake, Mr. Rosen. Mr. Kirkpatrick, how are you?
I'm doing good, but you say there's no crumb cake, but you're going to have crumb cake withdrawals, my friend.
I probably will.
You're going to have crumb cake withdrawals. Jen, get the restraints ready for him because he's going to need them for that crumb cake.
I probably will.
He's going to want that crumb cake.
Hey, sis, that lasagna you're sending to him, send it down to Florida.
No, again, I know him too long. I heard this for 10 years. I don't put any stock in this at all.
I think we should have a bet. I think all of us should have a bet.
Well, we may, Paul. We may.
All right. Sorry to steal your thunder.
We may. And Mr. Siciliano, how are you tonight?
I'm good. Looking forward to a quick show, and let's get the ball rolling.
All right. Can I do Mr. Kirkpatrick? What do we got tonight? Again, we got a new contributor, boys. All right, and that's Mr. Woodhams, Scoop Woodhams. He's going to talk some baseball with us. I know Kenny wants to get into NBA playoffs. What else we got tonight, Mr. Kirkpatrick?
Got a little. We got the draft next week, so Paul's got a little round table for us and with some fun little questions, topics on the draft for us in the second hour, and of course Bronco Mania. And I got a little fun one tonight for sure.
Okay, so I'm ready to roll. If you want me to start, Mr. Kirkpatrick.
Sure, let's start it up.
All right, let's go, I'll go Kenny, Sis, Paul. Here we go. Are the Phoenix Suns in trouble without Devin Booker versus the New Orleans Pelicans?
Who's up first?
You, Kenny. We're going to go Kenny, Sis, Paul.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to say no. I think they'll bounce back. They got enough firepower down there to get through the Pelicans, I believe. So I'm going to say no.
Okay, Mr. Murphy saying no. Sis, are the Suns in trouble?
No, absolutely not.
Paul?
No, they won 64 games. I mean, they didn't use Devin Booker to win 64 games. They have enough players to substantiate his loss if it goes too far.
Okay, Eddie's saying games will be closer, but Suns have enough depth. What I'm wondering about Eddie's comments on this. Sunday, Mr. Kirkpatrick, Kyrie Irving gave double birds, the middle fingers, little this, little that, swearing. Was he wrong the way he handled the fans on Sunday?
I believe he was 100% wrong. You can't take heckling from fans. You don't deserve to be a professional. That's the reason why they use that word professional. And you know what? The NBA should step up because it's a playoff series. You're going to keep this guy in there. You got little kids at the game, and he's throwing birds, and he's doing cursing, and whatever. Who else knows what else he did there? Only God knows what else he did over there. And he's back there tonight. It's going to get ugly tonight. And until the NBA steps up and does something with these guys, and it goes for every sport, they're going to get away with it.
Okay. Eddie's saying he definitely wasn't wrong, and we got some breaking news on the show. Jay Wright is retiring from college basketball. Head coach of Villanova, supposedly to step down. Sis, was he wrong?
Yeah, but again, I don't know if it was Paul or Kenny. First of all, they're never going to know anything about it. These guys make so much money. They think they're above the law. They think they're above the rules. So am I shocked that he did all that? And they're going to get away with it? No, absolutely not.
Okay. Coach Breslin, Irving is wrong. He is a major problem wherever he goes. Paul.
Yeah, I mean, it's a clean sweep. He definitely should have been, well, he was fined. I think it was $50,000. He should have been suspended at least for one game. And I think that the NBA really dropped the ball on him.
Eddie Murphy saying Tim Anderson today from the White Sox did it to Cleveland fans, but I bet you won't hear about it tomorrow. Good point. Good point. Okay, Kenny. Paulo Banchero, the Duke sensational freshman, has declared for the NBA draft. Should he be the number one pick in the draft?
Depends who gets the number one pick. I think there's 2 or 3 guys that are capable of being that number one pick. So it all depends on who wins the lottery. But it's just like top 2. I think he should be 1-2.
Eddie's saying definitely not suspended. You're crazy. Sis, should he be the number one pick?
No, Kenny nailed it. It's who wins the lottery. It's what it's going to boil down.
Mr. Rosen.
Yes, I agree. And I love you too, Eddie.
There you go. Debo Samuel, stud receiver, running back, whatever you want to call him, from the San Francisco 49ers, today said he wants to be traded. Kenny, where will Debo Samuel be playing next year? This year.
San Francisco 49ers.
I'm with you. Sis.
New York Giants.
Whoa.
Paul.
It's not out of the question. It's not out of the ballpark.
No. Paul.
I think 49ers, but I think the Jets are going to try and really, really see if they can swing a deal for him.
All right. Next Thursday night is the NFL draft. 3 days, wall-to-wall action with the draft. Debo Samuel, DK Metcalf, A.J. Brown, Baker Mayfield. Will one of those stars be traded before Thursday, Kenny?
Baker Mayfield.
And Eddie's saying he said he wants to be traded because he doesn't want to be a hybrid player the way the 49ers use him, because he wants to be paid like a receiver, not a running back.
And I'm going to give you the team as well.
Okay.
Somebody's going to move up with Seattle to take that spot for Seattle. And Seattle, you're going to see teams wanting to get there, but I could see Seattle trading with the Browns and getting Baker Mayfield.
Okay. Sis, any of those guys get traded?
2 of the 4, though.
Okay. Mr. Rosen.
I agree with Kenny. I think Baker Mayfield's going to be traded. I'm not sure which team, but I think he's going to be out of Cleveland.
And our guy Beelan is just typing in Jets for Debo. So that would be big for him. That would be big for his Jets.
Is Beelan still in Utah in witness protection? We haven't seen him on this show for a few weeks.
He's hiding out in Madison Square Garden.
Love the picture at Madison Square Garden, Beelan. Looks like you had a great time.
Great. It was. I saw it with, I believe, with Salvatore. Right, he was at the Garden. Real quick, Eddie's saying if the Jets, I'll just have Paul answer this one. He's saying if the Jets do trade for Debo, does it take the 10th pick to get it done, Paul?
I think a 10th and a third.
Okay.
The 10th and the third pick, and they can get him.
Okay. Beelan's also saying Baker to the Carolina Panthers.
Sneaky.
There it is. Mr. Mataloni Siciliano, he's saying, Coach Sis, who wins in a fight, raviolis or manicotti?
Raviolis.
There you go.
from Savioli and Garfield.
There you go.
Yeah, gotta give our boy Butch a plug.
Oh yeah. I had him Freester. Real quick, Kenny, are the Mets the best team in baseball right now?
Close. They're top 3.
Sis,
I'm going to say yes. Right now, yes.
Mr. Rosen.
Oh, by the way, that wasn't peeling at the garden. That was a Photoshop picture. Okay.
Mr. Rosen.
Right now, as crazy it sounds, I'm saying yes. Yeah, they are.
And Ryan, I see you in the waiting room. We'll be on with you in about 15 or so minutes.
Yeah,
Looking forward to some baseball talk with you, bud.
yeah, we'll get more into it with him.
Eddie's saying Mets are the best till it's time to tank. LOL.
He's right.
Baseball. Kenny. Does Mr. Garrett Cole struggles? Does that prove that he cheated?
It's kind of looking that way, but I want to see if he continues to struggle when the weather is 80 degrees. You're an ace. You should not be struggling regardless, but let's see what happens when the weather's 80 degrees. I think his 3 games he pitched yesterday was 45 degrees in Detroit.
I don't want to hear that. I don't
I
want
don't
to
want to
hear
hear
it.
it either. I'm not making excuses.
It
for
was
the guy.
46 and
I'm with
But-
Beal. Well, you know what? It ain't going to be 80 degrees in the playoffs. So, I mean,
Exactly.
you know, Mr. Beelan's saying Cole sucks. He can't do anything without sticky stuff. Mataloni saying every time Kyrie's touching the ball tonight, they're chanting Kyrie blanks. Eddie Murphy saying Cortez is the Yankees ace. Can't believe they didn't win that game after he pitched the other day. We got a comment from a David Fagula. Mets are the best, period. The end. Cole isn't a top 5 pitcher in New York City, let alone baseball. I like that comment out of the gate. Sis, did this prove he's a cheater?
Well, again, 46 pitches in 1 inning. He's not cheating. It's a joke. He's not worth $35 million a year. He stinks. He stinks.
Mr. Rosen.
well, I'll respond by saying I responded to Eddie Murphy's question on Facebook this afternoon by saying he's not even the best pitcher on his team, much less in New York. But I will say I will give Cole the benefit of the doubt at this point in the season. It's still early.
Okay,
Out of it.
Paul Rosen, since you wanted this before, I'm going to give you the first crack at it. How long will my diet last?
Days, weeks, months. What are you talking about?
You could say whatever you want. You might say 1 hour. I don't know. Whatever
All
you
right.
think it's going to be.
Let's see. I'm going to say I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to give you at least 3 weeks. I'm going to try 3 weeks. Okay.
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 Sis.
First of all, Paul, you're dreaming. I made soup for this guy and his father one time, real quick. They were going on a diet. Took me like 4 or 5 hours to make the soup. How many days do you think that soup diet lasts?
8 hours.
No, it lasted 3 days.
Oh,
So
okay.
again, I love Kurt. He's like my brother. I would bet if I had $100,000 to bet, he doesn't make 2 weeks.
Okay. Kenny.
Like Paul, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt too and say 3 hours.
3 hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, all joking aside, I think you're going to go a week.
A week.
and then
Okay.
you'll
So
have
I got 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. That's fair.
there'll be cookies
should
or
be
something
easy
lingering
for you.
around, and I'll start with a
Your
cookie.
wife's on this thing. It should be really easy for you to do.
Well, I'm not doing what she's doing.
Oh,
And-
you're
and-
not.
No.
You're
I'm not doing
your
what
own-
she's. No, she's. I'll explain it a little bit later on. I'm not doing what she's doing. She's
Breaking
running it.
news. Breaking news. I got a 2-minute guest appearance for you guys.
Okay,
He's been missing in action.
there he is.
Mr.
He's
Beal.
only got 2 minutes because he can't let them know where he's at.
Okay, Beelan, so
Bargain
give us
is
what you
important.
got for 2 minutes, Beelan.
Why are you
Witness
guys
protection.
counting me out already? It's crazy.
I
There he
did it.
is.
I
I'm
did
like,
it.
I'm like Santa Claus. I'm everywhere.
That's it. Beelan, I got one for you real quick, Beelan. Are you
Yeah.
right now? The level that you're threatened by these New York Mets right now.
0 because we play the same baseball every year, and we don't even have Acuna back yet. So I'm okay with that right now.
Okay, and then do you want to go all in for Mr. Debo Samuel?
Yes, I would offer, because my thing is I would offer the 10. Oh, hold on. You guys there? Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I would offer the 10 because any wide receiver you draft at 10 is not going to be better than Debo Samuels.
Great, I agree.
Yeah.
Maybe Jameson Williams. But other than that, nobody's better than that. So that, or I would do what they gave up for Tyreek Hill, and I would do that trade.
Okay.
Honestly.
Anything else for Beelan, guys? Because I mean, I know he's got 2 minutes, but those were my 2 for Beelan.
Oh, no. Good to see you, Beelan. And next week, draft. Let's go. Let's go.
Buddy.
We'll have to have a little draft party next week because we're both going to be celebrating our picks. I got a feeling.
Yeah, I'll be at a draft party in Bay Ridge. So
Okay.
I got a whole bunch of Jets lunch thing over there.
Well, you got to check in.
I'm going to make a
with us at
video
some
of
point.
Sis dancing when we get Evan Neal.
Well, listen, if I told everybody this, even like on Twitter, I'm like, if we draft Icky at 10, at 4, I'm leaving the draft party because it better be an edge rusher.
Oh. Do you want Kayvon?
I want Kayvon or JJ. Like I'm not.
Yeah.
If we draft Icky, that just means that you're basically playing for the next year.
All right.
Sis,
You know.
Paul,
Good
anything
point.
for Beelan to wrap it up?
No, I mean, I understand his position with the Braves and the Mets. Believe me, what were we in first place for half the season last year? So I can appreciate his position right now.
Beelan, do you have bodyguards walking around with you?
I do. Yeah, there's 2 of them at front and back, 12 and 6.
I
So
figured that. I haven't seen you in about 2 months.
I'm always around. I'm always around.
Beelan, good seeing you, bud.
Yeah,
Good seeing you, brother.
likewise.
Go
I might
get those
hop on
groceries.
a little bit later.
You got it.
Start
You
the
got a
sauce.
good,
Sounds good.
yeah. Come on, whenever you want.
Yeah.
You know that.
Sounds good,
All
Mr. Beelan.
Later.
Guys,
Later.
real quick, another comment from, we're going to thank Beelan for joining us. I want another comment from David. It would be hilarious if they null or void his contract since now it proves without his spider tack, he's a cheater. Never would happen, but certainly funny.
Yeah.
That's true.
All right, and my
Sure.
last one.
Yeah,
Kenny-
let's do your last one because I want to do basketball real quick.
Okay. My
Because then we're going
last
to get
one.
Ryan in.
My last one. Guys, Sis is going last for this. It's gonna start. It's spring, right? It's beautiful out. Sun's out. Guns out. What a lot of people you do, you sit in the car, you roll it down. Hey, roll that window down, turn that radio up. So, I'll give you what I'm gonna listen to. I want a little lyric, main verse, chorus, lyric, whatever you want to say of it. And show me how you're going to drive, because this is what I would be doing in a Scion. And this is for Briggsy, too. I'd be have the left arm on the wheel. Springtime love is on my mind, and I
Singing.
won't forget
This
the
guy.
way we share, the way we
Mute.
care, and I don't
Horrible.
regret.
This is the
Spring
gong show.
love. So I'm going spring love. I'm
Gong.
going spring love. Mr. Kirkpatrick, you're up.
I don't have anything. I'm listening to the fan.
Okay.
Not the music.
Mr. Rosen, where are you going?
All right. I'll put you guys to shame. My arm is up. Here's my arm. I'm driving with my right hand. I wish they all could be California girls.
Perfect. Now, Sis, you better not disappoint me, Sis. You better not disappoint me.
Biggie, can't you see the one to hypnotize me?
That's what I like, Sis. There it is. There it is.
There it is.
There it is. Sis, I would have put every dollar I owned on it. Every dollar.
Exactly. Because you know me so well.
There you go. All right, Mr. Kirkpatrick, those are quick.
All right,
hitters.
let's do a quick 10 minutes basketball because we went on a couple minutes late. So, Ryan, we're going to be running about 5 minutes late. So, about 8:05, right around there, we'll get you in. I want to do basketball real quick review,
Okay.
guys. Kurt, I'll start with you. The Nets Celtics game 2 tonight. You got the TV in front of you. What are we looking at over there in game 2?
The Nets got out to a real big lead. They're up 10 now. They were up, I want to say, like 14 or even more. Celtics made a little run to get it to, I think, 5 or 6. They're up 10. Listen, I'm wearing my green, man. I cannot stand the Celtics. Listen, I'm not a Celtic fan either, but I can't stand the Nets. I was jumping around on Easter when Tatum hit that shot. And let's go, baby. Let's see the choking Nets. Let's go. Come on, Celtics.
Okay, and do you think who wins this series, Kurt? Celtics or Nets?
I think the Celtics win because here's the thing. Bryce Brown, Seth Curry, Drummond, Patty Mill, those guys, they're not going to, Celtics at some point will just say Kyrie and KD are not going to beat, especially KD. Let Irving shoot 60 times. Let these gimmick guys do it, and they'll be eliminated. As long as they don't win it, I'm a happy Knicks fan. But I'll go Celtics.
Anybody want to add to that game, or let's move on to the next one?
6-7, my prediction.
Giants are up 4-0, Paul.
Such a pain in the butt.
Let's move on to another game here, another series. Game 3 tonight, Kurt. Sixers Raptors.
Yeah, listen, the Raptors are in trouble. Scotty Barnes is hurt. I'm not sure if he's playing tonight. And, the Sixers are quieting a lot of people. Everyone, they're going to get run out of the building in this series. Doc Rivers is going to get fired. Harden's going to, and you know what? They're impressive, man. 2 games. Listen, Sixers, again, that 1-2 combo is the best. I'm sorry. The best 1-2 combo in basketball is Harden and Embiid. And, they're going to win this series.
They got the better of the trade for sure.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Very sneaky number 4, very sneaky 4 seed in the East because they were getting overlooked. I think people are going to start believing in them soon. But when the playoffs started, I believe they were getting overlooked to the Nets, the Bucks, and the Heat. All I think were picked in the Celtics.
And real quick, Coach Breslin making a great point. Maxey, stud. Forget about Harden. He can't stand them, but Maxey has been unbelievable in these 2 games. I'm
gonna move on to the next game. I'm gonna give Paul this one. The Bucks and Bulls also game 2 tonight, Paul.
Yeah. I think the Bulls are going to come back today. They shot horribly in the first game. They couldn't shoot any worse. And I think the Rosen is going to have a good game. He couldn't shoot any worse than he did in the first game. So I think the Bulls are going to come back top up. And I think they're going to give the Bucks a long series. I think it'll go 6 or 7 games. I think Milwaukee will win, but it'll go 6 or 7, in my opinion.
I agree with you there. I think it could go at least 6. I'm going to give Sis this one, the Heat and Hawks. Sis, the Heat are off to a nice hot 2-0 start. What are your thoughts on that series?
Sweep. They're on fire right now. I don't see any, out of their offense or defense, no weaknesses. I say they sweep Atlanta right out of the playoffs.
It's very possible, Sis. I agree with you. Overlooked team in the playoff, number 1 seed, and they weren't even like the top 3 choice in the East. And I think they got a lot to show people. I think they want to prove a lot of people wrong, and it could be a dangerous team here, the Heat. Anybody else? Anybody disagree with Sis, or Al want to add anything?
No, I don't disagree.
Let's move on
either.
to the West, Kurt. I'll give you this one, Kurt. Suns and Pelicans, Kurt. Pelicans pulled off an upset. We talked about Booker getting hurt. Now it goes back to New Orleans. Let me ask you a question first. Is there any chance we see Zion in this series?
No, I don't think so. I don't think you're ever going to see Zion play for the Pelicans again. But listen, I don't think this is going to be easy. The Suns without Booker. I mean, I know they do a lot of. It's funny because Stephen A. and Mad Dog Russo were going at it while we were watching it this morning, but. Listen, it's not going to be easy. McCollum and Ingram, those guys could score. And Phoenix, Chris Paul is up and down. Now you take Booker out. I still would say Phoenix is going to win that, but it can go 6 or 7. I mean, listen, they're going to be lucky. They better win 1 or 2 in New Orleans and get it to 2-2 going back home. Because if they get down 3-0, they're done. But I will still take Phoenix.
Okay. Let's go to the Jazz and Mavericks. Paul, you want to take this one, or?
Yeah. I think the Jazz will win the next game. Um, you know, I know he's possibly going to play the third game, but that calf injury is so unpredictable. I mean, I'm not comparing myself to a professional basketball player. I had a calf injury. It took a long time to recover. So he may play. I don't know how effective he'll be, but I think the Jazz will win the third game.
Kurt and I hope you're wrong because we want the Jazz to get beat in the first round because I would love for Donovan Mitchell to
Yes.
want out and come to the East Coast in the Big Apple. That's what we want. Kurt, Sis stepped away for a second. Warriors Nuggets. The Nuggets with Jokic didn't really put up much of a fight, I would say, in the first two games. Do you think this is going to change out in Denver?
You know what, Kenny? I'm going to be honest. It's just a bad matchup. I mean, I would have loved, and we talked with our good friend Matt Staffiero. He said hello before on the show. You know, if we saw a healthy Jamal Murray, a healthy Michael Porter Jr. to go with Jokic, it's just you can't play with these guys, man. Curry's coming off the bench. Pools. I mean, he's like another guy now to add with Clay. Listen, they might get one game, but Golden State's just too much. I think Denver's a year away. When Denver comes back healthy,
it's a shame. It's a shame. You hit the word. If they're healthy, this is a dangerous team. I remember 2 years ago, I rode them and they pulled off upsets.
Yeah, but they can't do it the way they are now. They can't do it the way they are now.
I agree. And the last series, Paul, T-Wolves and Grizzlies. The T-Wolves won game one, upset the Grizzlies. Little dangerous team there with momentum, T-Wolves.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a long series, but I think the Grizzlies have too much firepower for them, and I think they'll win in 6 games.
This is the series I think that you can see the low seed upset. I would not be shocked, but I'm going to say the Grizzlies get it, like you said, in 6 or 7. But with Karl Anthony Towns, anything's possible. You know, if he shows up, he's top 5 player in the NBA, so on his A game. So be careful with these T-Wolves. That's all. You agree, Kurt, or disagree?
You know what? I mean, yeah, they're going to be at home. Again, same situation. You know, they're going to be fired up. Listen, Memphis has been one of the best all year, but you get down 2-1, and it's a pressure situation. They're going to have to win. They have to win 1 of 2 in Minnesota. I don't think they'll beat them 3 in a row. You know what? If you still ask me, I'm going to take Memphis, but I'm very shaky on this one. Very shaky.
This one I'm shaky on too. And you know me, I'm biggest Ja Morant supporter and love his game. And this series scares me. Anything else basketball, guys, before I bring in Ryan?
No.
All right. Let's bring in our guest this evening and newest member of the K&K Sports Show. And Kurt, I will formally let you introduce him as soon as he connects to his audio. And we're good. Kurt, I'll let you do the introduction.
All right. We'd like to welcome K&K Sports Show. We'd like to welcome for the first time our new contributor. He is fired up to talk sports with us, and we all welcome him, obviously, with open arms. But Ryan Scoop Woodhams, how are you, Ryan? Did I say your last name right?
You did. And good to see you, Kurt. Good to see you, everybody. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Let's have a good time.
Absolutely, Ryan. And just give us a little background of you. I know Kurt was probably going to go there too.
Yep.
We know from talking to you, you go to Seton Hall University. But if you give our audience and Paul and Sis a little background of yourself, that'd be great.
Right, absolutely. So I am a senior at Seton Hall, graduating with a BA in business admin. As far as my sports background is concerned, I've worked for multiple different places. I started my own sports blog in high school, Crash Sports. From there, I transferred to MLB Mayhem, which is now known as 6-Man Rotation. Actually, a couple guys there I worked with on multiple projects. The next transition from there, I went to Fansided. So I was with Fansided for about a year, on and off with Call to the Pen. And that was kind of the last organized project that I worked on. And then podcasting-wise, I worked with one of the guys from 6-Man Rotation. Shout out to him, Noah Lyons. He was great. He and I worked on a sports podcast, and then we also worked on a music podcast together. So that's a little bit of what I've done so far.
Nice.
Kenny,
And
real
again,
quick,
welcome to our
Nice.
show, and look forward to seeing you each week.
Kenny, before we get to Ryan, I just want Sis to hear one thing. So think about this, Mr. Siciliano. Ryan goes to Seton Hall, and guess who his favorite college football team is, Sis?
Gotta be Alabama.
I mean, are you kidding me? Seton Hall
roll
in
Tide.
Alabama? It's like another one. I'm like another Sis on the show.
Mini sis.
It's a perfect fit.
You got it. All right, Ryan. So what do you? We want to talk a little MLB tonight. So the floor is yours. You could start with whatever you want, and we'll chime in as it is.
Sounds great. So yeah, apparently, don't know if you guys have heard about this. Apparently, there's a guy up in New York who's trying to get a little more money. Speaking, of course, of Yankees outfielder Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge and the Yankees have been in a contract dispute. He was asking for a 8-year, $307 million extension to take his total contract up to 9 years, $324 million, which is identical to what the Yankees gave Aaron Judge in 2019. And the response from the team was to offer a 7-year extension worth $213.5 million, which would have taken the total value of his contract to 8 years, $230.5 million. So first and foremost, I know that Cashman made a bit of an unorthodox and unprecedented decision to go public with the details of what was offered. First and foremost, I completely agreed with that from his standpoint. I think that the offseason was really under a microscope. Of course it is, it's the Yankees. But I think a lot of people took the offseason that they had with a lot of disappointment. I personally did not see that. I thought that they needed to upgrade at shortstop defensively. They did. They needed to upgrade significantly from what they had at catcher. They did. And they needed to improve offensively somewhere else. I don't know why everyone's looking at Josh Donaldson as sort of a salary dump. He's a 70% of offense from Josh Donaldson. It's better than 100% of offense from a lot of other players. So I thought the offseason was great. But as far as Aaron Judge is concerned, since 2017, we're looking at a 25 WAR player, fourth in MLB. He's got over 150 homers, over 150 weighted runs created plus. But where he starts to cause issues for people, I think was what the Yankees are looking at. He's only played in 555 games, which is barely top 100 in Major League Baseball during that time. So looking at this and looking at who are some comparisons in terms of finding appropriate terms for an Aaron Judge extension, look at players who are making over $31 million a year, players who are around 31 side, because of course most players who are signing their second deal are around 26, 27 when they're getting that amount of money that he's looking for. And a position not of super elite value. So not a catcher, not a shortstop, and not a starting pitcher. Comp that I think is closest to him would be an Anthony Rendon type. They're only one spot away from each other in WAR in that same span that I mentioned. Their OBP is basically identical. Only 6 games played difference. Judge is more power and more swing and miss. And they both are somewhere between solid to slightly above average at defense at their positions. Now, when Rendon got his contract from Anaheim, he got $35 million a year for 7 years. So he opted for fewer years and more per year. But he's also played 136 games or more 4 consecutive seasons before he got that contract. Now, Judge has only done that once in the last 4 years. So that's an area where I think Judge is going to hurt a little bit, and I would come below that amount in terms of what I would offer him. He's missed almost a quarter of possible games since 2017. And let's just be honest, older players, he's going into the 30s now. Older players are not going to suddenly start to get healthier. So someone who's already dealing with health issues to this point, he's not going to suddenly start playing 160 games a year. That's just not a realistic expectation. So using the benchmark that I mentioned, I think that they're looking at probably, if they're going to make the 9-year offer, I think you're probably coming in around $241 million, which is that's over $80 million less than what he was asked. But I don't think that as the face of the franchise, I don't think that there's that $80+ million gap to make up. The Yankees walked away from Robinson Cano over less. Now, granted, they had concerns about him in his own right, but that's just not a bridge that I think that a gap that I think that they will bridge just for the sake of keeping the face of the franchise. So I'd make that last offer in that vicinity. But if he's not willing to come down significantly and his agent's not willing to come down significantly, I let him walk, honestly. And I plan for the future with Giancarlo Stanton seeing more regular time in the outfield.
Now,
Absolutely.
I think, well, real quick, Dave is saying Judge is going to turn into another Conforto situation, going to ask for way more, prove he isn't worth it, and be sitting on the couch watching baseball next year. And Henry's giving us an update, about a Miggy update. Cabrera has a single. He's now 2 away from 3,000. I'm probably the wrong guy to ask for this because you guys know we've argued on the show. I'm sorry. I am not an Aaron Judge fan. I'm not giving him that money. I'm like you, Ryan. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it. I mean, he does not come up in the clutch. He's home run or strikeout. He's not batting 330, 320. I'm sorry. For me, I'm not. You look at baseball, you could take that money, go get yourself 2. You can go get yourself 3 pitchers. Like you said, they have the guy in Judge already with Stanton. What's really the difference? I mean, you're going to say he's a better outfielder or whatever, but they're the same type of player. So me, I'm not doing it. I'm sorry. That's me. I don't know what you other guys want to say about it. I'm not giving him that money. Kenny, what do you think?
I'll just say real quick, you know a lot of things there, Ryan, and I know, Kurt, you've been with me on this. I said they gave Stanton this huge contract, or not contract. They traded for Stanton, who had this huge contract. When Judge, you're not gonna be able to. You're the Yankees. You're still not going to be able to pay Stanton and Judge $300 million and have 2 guys make it $300 million on your team. It's not going to happen. So if you can't trade Stanton, there's a good chance Judge isn't going to be there. And I said that from day one, and I'm going to continue to feel that way, that Judge is on his way out. You just can't afford it. It don't matter who you are, the Dodgers, the Yankees, you're not going to pay 2 guys that much money to play the outfield. See what's happening with Cole.
Right. Sis, what do you think?
All along, I said it myself. He's definitely not worth the money. He struck out 3 times yesterday. He doesn't hit in key situations. I mean, it's not personal. It's just from me viewing and what I see. I wouldn't give him that kind of money. No way, no how.
Paul?
Yeah, I mean, I go along with you guys, and I know you're Yankee fans. It's got to the point, I think, where Steinbrenner now has become the frugal owner in New York. And I think he realizes that there's just a diminishing return with this guy. And they knew it was going to come to this point, especially where he was getting to the end of his contract. They knew they were going to have to make a offer to him. I think I agree with Ryan that to make it public, hey, they're offering him all this money, and the fact that he's not going to take it was a great public relations kind of move by Steinbrenner and Cashman.
Paul, real quick, you know what this reminds me of when we got into the whole Aaron Rodgers thing, right? Remember when Green Bay said we're going to give him $50 million a year? If he doesn't want it, don't blame us. I mean, we wanted to give it, so I agree with you.
Good analogy. Yeah. So, now let me ask Ryan a question.
Yes.
Do you see them trading him by the trade deadline at this point?
It's going to significantly depend on where they are in the division, I think. Obviously, the division's very cutthroat. I expect it to be that way the entire year. I think that if they did trade Judge, I don't think it would be for prospects. I think that they would try and find a major league player that they could get, which again, you don't see a lot of major league players for major league players deals. Even though I just referenced one that the Yankees made with Minnesota, I don't think you'll see a lot of that. And I think that going into the trade deadline season this year, the only way I would see them trading Judge is if they're legitimately out of it, or they make that type of a swap. And if they do make that type of a swap, I don't really see in general, but especially if they do that, I don't really see a lot of teams that they could match up with on a deal like that.
Yeah, there's not too many teams.
See, the only way I would see the Yankees trading Judge I agree with you, for a major league player, Ryan, would be for a top-notch pitcher. And, I don't think you're going to do it outfielder for outfielder. And
I don't think so
one
either.
name comes in mind would be like a Shane Bieber, and then Judge can go be the new face of the new team over there, the Guardians.
Right.
Like Shane Bieber coming over to New York for Aaron Judge, straight up, 1-for-1.
Right. I just looking at well, first of all, I don't think that they would move off Bieber for a rental. Especially with where Cleveland's at, I just can't see that being
True.
something that they would do.
How about a Cody Bellinger?
Give me that one more time.
Cody Bellinger.
Cody Bellinger. I mean, Bellinger fell off the face of the earth offensively. I don't really know what happened there. But again,
Because the Dodgers, I could see the Dodgers, LA, with Judge.
I could see the Dodgers making a play for him. I'm not sure that Bellinger in particular is the player that I would target in that situation. But I heard someone earlier, actually, a buddy of mine. I recognized the name David Vagila. That's a buddy of mine, and I knew he was going to ask a question about Garrett Cole. I am not personally concerned about Garrett Cole. We knew coming into this season that pitchers were going to be a little bit behind the 8 ball in the beginning of the season. Cole, for all the talk about spider tack or whatever, his spin rate is actually up from where it was last year in the early going. The concern the concern that exists right now is surrounding mostly his fastball, and it's mostly about location. It's not really about stuff. And I have full faith in their pitching coach Matt Blake. If it's 2 more starts and we're still seeing issues with Cole, then I might acquiesce to some concerns. Where we're at right now, I have minimal concern about Cole going off the rest of the year. In 2019, he started with an ERA over 5, and he ended up finishing the season pretty well.
Kenny Carson saying hello. Kenny Carson's chiming in.
Hey, Carson, next week, we got to get you on next week. We're not going to be doing Wits and Wagers tomorrow, but let's get you on for some quick hitters and NFL draft talk next week before your stream.
Hey, Kurt, I'd like to ask Ryan a question.
Oh, absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, Ryan, hey, this is Sis. You just brought up something about 219, and I agree with you. Do you find it a little, I don't want to, I'm trying to say, you find it a little shady now all of a sudden, since he got caught cheating, he's not the same pitcher. I mean, let's be realistic.
No, I don't. He had an issue at the end of last year, but again, he had a severe strain of his leg. And then the issue starting this year, again, I go back to the fact that pitchers were ubiquitously considered to be behind the 8 ball because of the way that everything went down with the labor dispute. And the fact that his spin rates, which is what everyone was looking at with a fine-tooth comb last year when the spider tag thing came out, his spin rates on his breaking stuff this year is actually up. So I have minimal concern about that, and just based on the evidence that I have at this time.
No, I appreciate it. You're entitled to your opinion. Unfortunately, respectfully, I don't agree with you, but thank you.
Fair enough.
Kurt, Brian Wilson, guy I work with, had also a very similar question. I wrote him down because he's not with us tonight.
Okay.
But I'm not going to ask the question because it was Garrett Cole too, but I'm sure he's listening. I just wanted him to know that I do have his questions written down. Ryan, when we get into the Mets, he has a nice little Mets question here that I'd like your opinion.
Yeah, and David has another Mets question, but I'm going to hold that until anything else Yankees for you, Ryan.
The only thing I wouldn't drop about the Yankees is I got a player to watch over the next couple series. It is Joey Gallo. I'm aware that he's been chasing too much as he's been doing his entire career. But to me, he's making too much hard hit contact and barreling the ball too much for me to believe he won't have some positive regression there. And this is actually a place where I think the eye test people and the analytics people can also kind of get behind some similar points, because you just watch him play and you can tell he's just hitting the ball into some of the unluckiest places on the field. Whereas analytics will also tell you that he's one of the most, if you look at WOBA versus XWOBA, which basically projects how well a player should be hitting versus how well he's hitting, he's one of the 5 most unlucky players by that statistic in the early going. So I think Joey Gallo is significantly about to improve. I think he just had some terrible luck to begin this season. But that's the end of what I have to say about the Yankees.
Okay, now Mr. Rosen is again, Kenny and Sis. I'm not really I don't have a favorite baseball team. Mr. Kirkpatrick and Mr. Sislano are Yankee fans, but Mr. Rosen is smiling because his New York Mets, first place, maybe one of the hottest teams, if not the hottest. I know they're losing tonight. So what do you got with the New York Mets tonight, Ryan?
Well, the obvious question right now, as they went into today, they just won their 9th game coming into today. The obvious question is that early success sustainable? And I think that's got a complicated answer to it. 7 regulars outside of Cano and McCann are producing above average offensively. Entering yesterday, they only had they had one pitcher who had made 2 starts with a fielding independent ERA that was over 3, and ironically, it was Max Scherzer. What I do have with the Mets a little bit is some bullpen concerns. They've only got 3 guys who are keeping guys off the base paths in a level that I'm comfortable with, which is Diaz, Smith, and Shreve. I remember Shreve from his days across the city. So it's early in the season, but I do think that's something to watch. However, there is some regression likely, I believe. It's also the sample size, but his fielding independent statistics are suggesting that there's going to be some regression in their favor as well across the board. So I do think that the Mets can continue to be successful, but perhaps not at the level that they've been at. I don't think Atlanta is going to continue to allow over 5 runs a game. I don't think Kyle Wright's going to continue to be their only good starter. I think Miami is showing signs of being sneaky, even though I think that'll manifest more in pitching than offense. And Philadelphia, I just can't see them continuing to score fewer than 4 runs a game. I don't think Castellanos is going to continue to be the only offensive threat in that lineup, as there's a drive to deep left field, and it will be a home run. But I'm still concerned about Philadelphia's pitching.
Paul, anything? I know you're the. Oh, sorry, Kenny, go ahead.
I got one good question from my friend Brian, and then let's let Paul go because he's the Mets fan. But I think we touched on this a little bit last week, and it's a great question. Question I have for my friend Brian, or Scoop, I should say. If the Mets starting pitching led by Scherzer and he stays healthy, continue to dominate in the National League, what do you think the Mets should do with DeGrom when he comes back? And he put in A, B, C, or D. A, starting rotation. B, starting rotation with a low pitch count. C, bullpen. Or D, keep him on the IR.
I could have just answered A after I heard A. I see absolutely no reason to keep him out or to take him out of the starting rotation. A lot of your most successful teams in recent years have had not 1 but 2 elite starters, and like I said, I don't have a lot of confidence that the other starters can maintain the level of consistency. There's just no track record to suggest that they can maintain the levels that they started at. So no, as soon as I can get DeGrom back and pair him with Scherzer at the top of that rotation, I'm penciling that day in and I'm circling it on the calendar.
He asked that question because I talked to him at work. He's a good friend of mine. Because of the struggles in the bullpen, he's not sure if they're going to have a strong bullpen. And he said, "Oh, maybe DeGrom." And I said, "Let's ask it. I'll ask it on the air."
Yeah, not personally something I would do.
Dave is saying bump Carrasco and slide in DeGrom, no brainer. Paul, anything for Ryan about your beloved Mets?
Yeah, no, I like what he's saying. Look, it's the eye test, and as a Mets fan, most Mets fans are cautiously optimistic every year. But the positives that I'm seeing right now are the fact that McGill and Peterson have come in and picked up a little of what DeGrom was going to be able to do. That's number one. Number two, and maybe it should have been number one, is having Buck Showalter as manager. We finally have, I keep saying this, an adult in the dugout. And there've been a couple of games that you can see Buck's intelligence and his baseball acumen has helped the Mets win a couple of games. Number three, right now, and I'm sure Ryan knows this, the Mets have the biggest run differential between scoring runs and giving up runs in the major leagues. I think they're a plus 29, better than the Dodgers, better than the White Sox, better than the Giants. And I think from an early standpoint, that's significant. Number four, every new player that they've brought in, whether it's Marte, Kahan, Bassett, the pitcher, obviously Scherzer, have provided significant improvements and contributions already. And again, it's early, let's face it. I'm not going to say it's not, but from the first 2 weeks of the season, they've gotten off to a start that Met fans are ecstatic about. And except for maybe 2 bad innings, they could have had 10, 11 wins at this point. But, again, I agree with Ryan. The Braves will not continue to play like they do. The Phillies will be in the near future a team to reckon with, so it's going to be a competitive division. The Mets are not going to clearly run away with anything this year.
I agree, and I agree with a couple of the points that I was a big fan of the Bucs Showalter hire when that occurred. I thought that was a fantastic move for them, and I think that some of what you've seen recently, like I said, I do think they'll continue to have significant success. And this is not a quantifiable thing, but the other thing for me is that I've thought the Mets were going to be one of the final teams standing in the National League for like 5 consecutive years now. So there's just like an unquantifiable aspect of that there that I need to see them break out of. And in order,
Ryan, not to cut you off, you have to. I disagree with you, because what's happened the last 3-4 years, even 5 years, you got to draw a line and move forward, because it's a totally different culture, totally different environment. The Wilpons and the former owners, you have to draw the line moving forward.
I agree that, but Cohen was, had been the owner going into, the end of last year. We still saw them have a disappointing end of the season compared to where they were.
Right, but there were so many injuries, DeGrom being the most significant. Other pitchers, the Walker was injured, the Cookie Carrasco was injured for most of the year. So
right, we started this season. Their 2 best pitchers weren't even available in the first week. So that's the concern that I have, is that there's some just unquantifiables there that, whether it's health, whether it's culture, whatever it is, that I'm not ready to say they're my number 1 team in the National League, because they don't have that track record yet.
No, I'm not willing to say that right now either. In fact, when we had a baseball preview, I said, all things considered, health is the number 1 issue with this team. It always has been. So I agree with you to that extent. But
I've always been big on the Mets, and Kenny, you can answer this, because I'm just a firm believer it comes down to pitching. It really, and I think that's why the Yankees have been in trouble. You're not going to win playoff games 9-8, 10-9. And, me and Sis sat here week after week, and we said, you get to a postseason and, the Yankees are, starting relief pitchers, pitching a guy, going 2 innings, and you're not going to win it. And listen, health comes to health. But if you're giving me a healthy DeGrom and a healthy Scherzer, I'm sorry. If I got to face those guys in a 7-game series, man, I'm backing that team. I'm sorry.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you. There's been so many instances, like you said, if they have a healthy DeGrom and a healthy Scherzer, that's one of the major questions that I have is, are those guys going to be healthy? Scherzer's going to be 30 years old, and DeGrom, he's like this part of the decade's Clayton Kershaw, where when he's on the field, he's undisputable the number 1 pitcher in the game, but he's missing more often than not. He's missing half the season.
Paul, I'm going to go to Paul real quick, because I heard this just real quick. Yes, no, because we want to finish one more thing with Ryan about a little regular other teams. But real quick, Paul, I heard this where they're saying in the past 3 seasons, I believe, and it's kind of what Ryan's saying, DeGrom hasn't given you a full season, right? He's given you kind of a half season. But they're saying if the Mets could play this right and he comes back in June, mid-June, your halfway season now leads you into the postseason. Would you look at it like that and say you would gamble with that, Paul?
Yeah.
Like you would gamble with that?
Absolutely. If we're staying competitive for the first 2 months of the year, and he's coming back, say even mid-June, and if they're near first place, in first place, or within say 4 or 5 games of first place, I'll take that bet without question. And let me just say one more thing that I didn't mention before. The guy who's playing shortstop is the guy we thought we were getting last. Francisco Lindor, and again, it's a small sample size, but this guy now, this year so far, is the all-star shortstop that they thought they were getting last year. Day in and day out, this guy is coming up with big hits, making big plays, becoming the leader that the Mets thought that they were getting last year. So I think you talk about turning the page and drawing a line. He turned the page from last year's debacle season, and he's establishing himself again as that true, maybe the best shortstop in baseball right now.
And real quick, in about 15 seconds from me, Kurt, I agree with you with the Mets. I think they're a top team, but I don't agree with you as much as I would if if the pitchers were hitting in the National League. You're adding a DH to the Phillies lineup, Kyle Schwarber. You're adding a DH to the Cardinals lineup, and Albert Pujols. These pitchers aren't hitting anymore. It's going to be a little harder for the pitchers in the National League now. They're not getting through 6 or 7 batters and then an easy 2 outs. Now they got a full nine
lineup,
and it's going to be a little harder for them. So, but I still think they do have the best. When DeGrom comes, I would put my money on it too. But get yourself a bullpen, bolster that bullpen at the deadline, and you may be in for a World Series later.
All right, Mr. Kirkpatrick, we got one more. Let's real quick. He was going to go a couple minutes just around the ML horn, right? Ryan, anything else baseball-wise?
Yeah, so another question that's been kind of floating is you look at the standings and you're like, that makes sense. Whoa. And what I'm referring to is the fact that the Colorado Rockies have started the season so hot. As for whether I trust that or not, that I don't trust. Bryant and Grichuk which I thought the Bryant signing came out of nowhere. That was very confusing to me. But the Bryant and Grichuk are about within the bounds of their normal offensive production. CJ Cron and Connor Joe are not. And they've scored 32% going into yesterday, 32% of the team's runs to that point. Starting pitching, the rotation, especially after Marquez, no track record of consistent success, would not bank on them continuing their consistency. Perhaps oddly enough, I think that I perhaps most believe in their bullpen, although I don't think it'll remain the best in baseball. But they got some arms in there that I think are worthy of more trust. But it's kind of an interesting dynamic where I think the aspect of the team that I trust the most right now is their bullpen. But I'm looking at 2 wins over rebuilding Texas, one which went into extras. I'm looking at a split series with the Cubs that I don't know what they are, because you've got Chris Bryant leaving and Seiya Suzuki coming in, who's having a fantastic start to the season, by the way. And 2 home wins over the Dodgers, but 1 by 1 run. I'd like to see a little more not 1-run games and not extra innings. I'd like to see a little more against competitive teams. Can they be more convincing to me? And can they have some of these guys that I don't particularly see a lot of track record in their success? Can these guys start to prove me wrong and show that they have improved and taken that next level as players? Because right now I'm not seeing it from Cron, from Joe, or for the back half of that rotation.
Yeah, you know what? Oh, I'm sorry, Kenny.
My friend Brian, this is great that he brought up the Rockies. It segues right into the question that Brian had, and I'll ask Brian this and ask everybody this one. It's a quick hitter question. He wants to know which team, it could be one team in the American League or National League, has the best chance to be last year's San Francisco Giants that came out of nowhere, if anybody. And I had one team written down. If their pitching holds up, watch out for the Marlins in the East. Very sneaky team over there with Luzardo and Alcantara, 2 young stud pitchers. But Ryan, I'll ask you, do you have a team that can be last year's San Francisco Giants, come out of
I had to come up with a different one because mine was also going to be the Marlins. But I'll go with the Anaheim Angels. I look at the Angels and I see Ohtani, I see Trout, I see there's too much talent on that team, I think, and they've finally started to at least start in a. In fact, I think they were last I checked they were beating Houston, in Houston right now, and I know that they beat them yesterday as well. I think Anaheim is a team that I look at and think that they have finally now some of the arms that I think can get it done. I think that they've added a couple of pieces to their bullpen. I liked the add of some of the ads that they made recently a couple of years ago when they added Raisel Iglesias. I think that there's enough there now where if some other things go right in the division, meaning, Houston takes a step back, meaning some of the teams like Seattle that people are quote unquote expecting to improve, they get kind of caught up in a grudge match with some of those teams. I'd look out for Anaheim. I think that they're a team that is not getting as much attention, but definitely has the pieces to be at least a wild card 3, in my opinion.
Fair enough. Like it. Sis, you have a team?
No, I'm going to be straight with you like I am. It's way too early in the season to be looking that far ahead, and I don't do that. So I don't have an opinion on this.
Fair enough. Paul, anybody?
Yeah, I like the Angels when we had our predictions a couple of weeks ago, and I think Ryan is right. They have a lot of talent, and with Syndergaard also there, off to a pretty good start. So I think if all things break out for them in the division, they have an opportunity to may not be this year's Giants, but they can be competitive.
And Kurt, who's your sneaky
You know what?
team
I'm going
this
to be
year?
honest. I don't really have one. I mean, like you're saying Giants. I mean, I'm considering like a legit. I mean, they were a contender last year. I mean, they won the division. Did they win the division? They wound up winning the division, right?
Yeah.
I guess that was a wrong way of putting it. I don't think there's going to be a team that surprises like the Giants and wins over 100 games out of nowhere, but a team that could maybe
maybe
a team
Seattle
that can make the playoffs or win a series like that's not expected.
Maybe Seattle. I mean, I don't know. I think the better teams are still going to rise. I really do. And to answer what Ryan was saying with Colorado, and I know this is probably like Matt and Henry and Dave, those guys might not, I do like the team. They win their home games, but that division's so hard. You got to play the Padres. You got to play the Giants. You got to play, I don't know. I just think those division games are like Ryan's saying. You're not playing the Rangers. You're not playing the Cubs. You're going to play game in, game in and game out. So I don't know. I don't think it's sustainable. Not yet for them. Not yet.
Kurt, anything else? That was my questions that Brian wrote down for Ryan. That one was mine, by the way. I said Brian, but that one was mine.
No, Ryan, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I mean, we appreciate your first debut with us.
Appreciate it very much. It was a lot of fun. I look forward to building on this going forward.
Absolutely. Great baseball knowledge. And next week is going to be mostly, I don't want to say mostly, but, next Thursday is the NFL draft. So, be prepared for that. We'll probably have
my Eagles have 2 picks.
He's an Eagle fan, guys. I don't.
Oh my God,
Sis, who he's a big fan of, though, Sis?
Alabama.
Yeah, but guess who one of his favorite NFL players now is? Come on,
Devontae Smith.
Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
So I was telling him how heartbroken you were when Philly got him and the Giants didn't get him.
Yeah, thanks to Dallas. Yep, they screwed us.
Really?
I'm still not over that.
There's a fantastic YouTube video out. Just the last thing I'll say, there's a fantastic YouTube video out of well, maybe not fantastic for you, but of a Giants fan reaction when the Eagles traded up with Dallas to get Devontae Smith. I found it hilarious, but
I think I saw that video.
No,
but it wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Sis wanted him from day one. And Sis, they're going to get him. And when Dallas makes that trade and screws them, Sis was fired up. So
we didn't hear from Sis for 3 days.
Nice job tonight, son.
Nice job, Brian.
Good job, Brian.
Thank you, Ryan. We'll see you next week.
Have a good week, bud.
Take care of yourself.
Thank you.
All right, we got a quick question coming in for us, Mr. Kirkpatrick. I'm going to hit it up from Leprechaun. I'll ask Kenny. I'm going to go to Sis on this one. Do you think Tom Brady today, he said something, I'm close, or I know my time is running out. Do you think, when's he ever going to retire for good, Sis?
Again, I talked to my sister about this about 2 weeks ago. Seriously, he retired. Now to me, he just wants to be in the limelight. And I mean, you won 7 Super Bowls, go away. I have no idea. I could care less.
I think if he wins this year, Sis, he's done.
Yeah, I think everybody's saying it, Kurt. I agree with you, but again,
it's easier said than done. I mean,
all I know is this: he never beat us in the Super Bowl. That's all I care about.
I got the better question for you, Kurt.
Okay.
How much is the ball going to be worth?
Oh no, no.
Yeah.
Well, this ball's not worth nothing now. I think they didn't they.
No,
just,
the one that when he finally does retire.
I
Right.
know.
Somebody
But
going to pay close to that money?
Somebody's going to take it in a locker room like they took his jersey.
that's
You're gonna be
actually, you
lucky
got to
if you
watch
get-
that documentary about that with the jersey. It's awesome.
I
I saw that.
I honestly think this tainted it, and I think you're going to get like maybe 25% of that 500,000 when he officially does retire in that ball.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to come near.
I wanna
that
believe him.
500,000.
So-
I don't think it would come near it. But let's go to Sis's mind real quick, and then we
Judge
got
Rosen is in the house.
Sis got an old favorite Sis's mind tonight, Kurt.
Okay.
He's bringing back something he hasn't brought back in a while. And then we got Paul's Roundtable, and we'll end with Bronco Mania tonight.
Okay.
So what is on Sis's mind this evening?
Yeah, I'm going to change it up a little bit this evening. We're going to do a little trivia. We'll go in this order. We'll go Kenny, Paul, and then Mr. Valenti throughout the trivia. So, first up, largest margin of victory in a Triple Crown race. How many lengths?
I have to be spot on, or can I be within a couple of minutes?
No. You have to have right on the bullseye, or you don't get credit.
Are you, Mr. Kenny? What kind of answer is that?
Give us a multiple choice here.
No, but Paul, time out. I'm in Sis's defense. I'm in Sis's defense. Here.
26 lengths.
When
Sis.
you ask a question, you go on a game show. The guy don't ask him, "Can I be close?" You got to know the answer.
Thank you.
What the hell is that?
He's asking me the $99,000 answer from
Right.
You're wrong,
$64,000 question.
Yeah.
Paul, you're up.
Is that what, the same question?
Yeah, same question.
37 and a half lengths.
You were close.
Oh,
Oh, see, now Valenti gets a hint because Sis said he's close.
right. I mean,
These two are in cahoots
you know
with the
what
trivia.
the horse is, but
I'm gonna have to go 38.
Very close. It was 31. Boys.
Ooh.
Secretariat, right?
Sis, Kenny, you might just have to mute yours when Mr. Siciliano's talking. By the way, the Boston Celtics are on a run. Timeout in Brooklyn. Nets are up 4 only. Place is going nuts.
Back to the top. First back-to-back Stanley Cup championship. What team was it?
Detroit Red Wings.
So, next,
What was the question? Who won the first
back-to-back
back?
Stanley Cup champions. You should know this. You should know this. Kurt won't, but you should know this. Back-to-back.
Toronto Maple Leafs.
No, sir. Kurt.
I mean,
See if you can pull it out of the air.
Islanders?
No, Montreal.
Yes, I got one more guess. Sis, can I? Who was it?
If he stopped talking, I can give the answer.
Canadians?
Montreal Canadiens.
That was my other choice.
No, the Bruins were my other choice.
Yeah, me too,
Yeah.
Kenny.
Okay. Stop all buddying up with each other because I'll burrow all three of you. Now, how long in a golf game is a player around for the ball?
Kenny,
for
you
the
got
ball?
it. Kenny, I hear
Wait.
a bad echo. You
Yeah.
gotta say it again. Sorry, Mr. Kirk.
Minute-wise, how long is a player able to search for a ball in a golf game? Like if he hits it in the woods or whatever he does.
Oh.
Minute-wise. Kenny, you're first.
10 minutes.
No, wrong. Next,
1 minute.
you're way off. Kurt,
3 minutes?
close. 5 minutes.
Okay.
Ah.
Mary Lenny said 3 with me.
Tell Mary Lenny I love her to death. She's way off too. Okay. Paul, if you don't know this answer, I will
Oh,
be
God.
very disappointed, but let's start at the top. In tennis, the longest point in a match game ever recorded was how many minutes?
You're asking me?
No, Kenny,
Oh.
Kenny, you, and then Kurt.
10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Next,
8 minutes.
and Mr. Friend of mine, Valenti.
I'm going to go 17 minutes.
Oh, you were close. 29.
That's crazy.
Next.
That's crazy. Wow.
You'll never get this one. First Wimbledon tournament started in what year? Anybody that can answer this question has a free dinner on me.
What was the question?
First Wimbledon tournament was started.
Oh.
Wait a minute, Sis. Kenny,
Hey.
hold on. We got a question. Mary is saying to Sis, was that 29 minutes? Was it Nadal versus Federer?
That's a great, I'll get back to her on that. I don't have that information, but it was 29 minutes.
Okay.
I know. Okay. That kid knows her golf, so you got to be on your toes with her. So anyway, Kenny, what do you think? What year?
1912.
Next.
1896.
Wow, you were close. Kurt?
1908.
1877.
Oh,
That's a long friggin' time, man. That's
Really?
a long time.
One thing real quick.
Can't hear
Sis said free dinner. I get free dinner every night, so you guys are in the
you. Yeah, that's true.
any leftover lasagna?
No, he ate it all. You're out of luck. Sorry about that. Okay. How big is a baseball in circumference? Mr. Kilpatrick. How big is a baseball in circumference? How many inches?
26.
Wow, you're way off. Next.
A baseball?
Yeah.
26 inches?
Yeah, I mean that would be a beach ball, but go ahead.
5 inches.
26.
5 inches.
Hey, I went to Garfield. Don't question
Yeah,
my
well,
math.
it's starting to show. You better get a low key on that. Ball. In circumference. Just take a guess.
5 inches.
No, a little bigger.
6.5.
9 to 9.25. That's the answer. Okay, back to the top. Most home runs in a single season. Kenny, who was the player?
Barry Bonds.
Very good, Mr. Kilpatrick. Get the star next to his name. Very, very good. Very impressed. To the top.
I got the roommate discount there.
Back
Right.
to Kenny. Player strike in baseball, what year was it? Let's see if you can go 2 for 2. What year was the player in baseball?
95.
Next.
The players strike in baseball?
Yes, sir.
There've been a few of them. 94?
You're very good. You get a star next to your name
Yep.
tonight.
Woohoo!
Okay, back to the top. Actual total action in a baseball game. Okay. In other words, the action in a game, whatever, is how many minutes? Kenny?
Uh-huh.
90.
In a whole baseball game. No, in minutes. Action, in other words, action in the game. Not an hour and a half worth of action. Think about the question. Actual time,
27.
that's a little closer. Next,
31.
closer. Next,
I'm going to go 23.
you're very close, my friend. 18 minutes
Whoa.
is the actual time. Back to the top. Major League games most completed by any pitcher. Who was the pitcher, Kenny?
Nolan Ryan.
Next,
Wait, for a season or career?
Major League career most completed
Oh,
games.
career.
Yeah, you're going to get this one.
I'm going to say Cy Young.
I said, what did I just say? That's how good I know you. Very good. Very good. Back to the top, Kenny. First major league player to have his number retired. Kenny, you still here?
Babe Ruth.
Next.
The Iron Horse, Lou Gehrig.
This guy's on fire.
Look at you, Rosen, tonight.
Kenny, first openly gay player drafted in the NFL. What was his name? You should know this.
Jim Brown.
Gay player, gay. First gay player.
Oh,
I know it. I know it.
I know. Yeah.
He's on the Raiders. No, Michael Sam.
Very good, Mr. Kilpatrick.
Out of what college, Kenny? Missouri.
Missouri.
Yeah.
Back to the top. In 1982, Kenny, how many games made a regular NFL season? Back in 1982.
By the way, we got an answer. Mary saying USGA rule 18.2, 3 minutes for a lost ball. 3 minutes for a lost ball.
But then
You guessed. Did you guess 3?
I guess changed it. That's cool.
She said, "I have to challenge Sis on that with a smiley face."
Okay. Kenny, 1982. How many regular season NFL games were there back in 1982? Regular season, not playoff, nothing like that.
12.
Next.
Yeah, there was a strike in '82. I want to say 10.
Kurt,
9.
you nailed it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good job.
I know it was right around there.
Yeah.
Kenny, they won 3 Super Bowls in the 90s. What team was it?
San Francisco 49ers.
Next.
The Cowgirls.
Very good. Back to the top. A regular M&M. M&M. What color are they? One color, just the regular one. There's other colors, but this is the regular M&M.
Green.
Next.
Repeat the question again. The regular M&Ms.
Yes.
Brown or
But
chocolate.
the original M&M.
Right. Brown or chocolate.
Well, which one is it?
Brown.
You got 4 winners here tonight, kid. Kenny, Air Jordans came out in what year?
86.
Next.
What year did he say?
He said 86. Question
86.
is, Air Jordans, what year did they come out?
Right. I'm going to say 85.
Kurt,
87.
all 3 of you guys are close. 84.
Oh.
Back to the top. The Bill of Rights, the Constitution, Declaration of Independence during World War II. Where were they kept and locked up?
It was an echo. I couldn't understand his question.
Okay. Bill of Rights, Constitution, Declaration of Independence during World War II. Where were they locked up for safekeeping? Let's see you history buffs. Paul's going to get it. I can tell by looking at his face.
Wild guess, Lincoln Memorial.
Okay, that's Kenny's guess. Paul?
I think it was in Philadelphia.
Next,
I have no idea. In Virginia.
Fort Knox.
Really?
And the closing thoughts for this evening on Coach Sis's agenda here. This lady in New Jersey, well-known coach, top of her game. Spring of 2000, she was the head lacrosse coach, major school in New Jersey. Fall of 2000, she was a field hockey coach, big-time school in New Jersey. Kenny, who is this female athlete and coach? Mm-hmm. Great athlete in her own right. I should put that in there. But yeah, from New Jersey.
I got nothing.
Okay. Paul, I'm going to leave you out because obviously you're not from New Jersey.
Yeah.
And no hard feelings, but it wouldn't be
No,
fair.
none taken, believe me.
This is on Kurt.
Jenny Hoops.
If you didn't answer that right, I would take it right up to Jersey over the weekend and beat you up.
Did I get it right?
I texted her today and I said, give me the information, but don't tell them.
Did I get it?
Yeah, it was her. It was your wife.
That's, I nailed it.
Yes, you did.
I had a feeling it was Jenny Hoops, but I wanted Kurt to be able to answer.
Right.
That. I had a feeling. I don't want to say
Kenny.
Good move,
Yeah,
Kenny.
Boston
I
has
got some,
tied the
I got
nets,
some-
boys.
I
Boston
got
has
some
tied
land
the
across the
nets.
street from where we live that I want to sell you to. But good job, Kurt, with that. Thank you.
All right, look, boys, let's move on. We got a few minutes left. Let's do Rosen's Roundtable. I know he's got a little NFL draft for us, and then I'm going to end with some Bronco Mania questions for you guys.
You know what, Kenny? I know we're getting late, and the
Want to do it next week with the draft?
let's do it next week. We'll have a little more time, I
That
think.
sounds good. We'll have fun with that.
Yeah.
We'll have a nice little NFL draft preview show next week. All right, Kurt. Bronco Mania time, and I got stuff written down for the guys for Giants. You guys
Okay.
ready?
Yes, sir.
We're going to do a little over-unders, okay?
Well, I'm sorry, Kenny. You said the segment wrong. What is the segment called?
Briggsy's Bronco Mania.
Briggsy's Bronco Mania.
Okay. And I got a good Briggsy Bronco Mania story next week for the NFL draft, which we'll have to do with Paul's segment. We'll save that for next week.
Perfect. Perfect.
Kurt, I wrote these down. These aren't FanDuel odds. These aren't sportsbook odds. These are Mr. Kirkpatrick's odds. Javonte Williams, Kurt, over or under 1,000 rushing yards this year?
Without a doubt, over.
Paul, Sis, Saquon Barkley, same number, 1,000 yards rushing. Paul.
I'm going to say yes. Over 1,000.
Wait, this year?
Coming up.
You're joking. You're saying this year coming up?
Yeah.
Never happened.
Wait, you're the one that's optimistic about them winning 7-8 games this year.
Yeah, but he's not rushing for 1,000 yards, my friend. I'll tell you what, I'll give him 700-800. He ain't getting 1,000.
Well, it's going to be a debatable thing for the year. We're going to have to see who's right and who's wrong.
Yeah.
Kurt, the next one I got written for you. Well, Javonte Williams, Kurt, part B, 8 touchdowns, over, under, just for you.
Rushing and receiving?
Rushing.
I'll still go over.
Okay, next guy for you, Kurt. Jerry Jeudy, 1,000 yards.
Way over.
I'm going to go over, sis. It's your boy. He's a big step
Absolutely.
up. I'm going with him.
I'm counting on this kid big time, guys.
Paul?
Yeah,
Kenny G.
I'm going to agree.
Kenny Galladay, 800 yards.
If he doesn't gain 800 yards this year, then they better get his butt out of here. Yes, I'll say at least 800 yards.
Sis Galladay.
He stinks.
All right, Kurt. Patrick Surtain, 5 interceptions.
I'm going to say no because people aren't going to throw at him. So no.
Good point. Paul, you agree or disagree?
Yeah, no, I agree. That's a good point.
Okay. I'll do another Bronco one for Kurt. I got a couple more Giant guys written down. Bradley Chubb, Kurt, 8 sacks. I wrote down.
I'll go over for him.
Healthy, I'm going to go over. This is if he stays, obviously,
Big Kenny, big
injury's
contract.
gonna take that.
Kenny, huge year.
Yep.
Because if he doesn't get it, they're not going to sign the extension. So I'm going to say big season for him.
Got a good one for Paul and Sis. Kendavius Tony, 1,000 total yards. So rushing
Don't
game
even
this
get me
season.
don't even get me started on this guy who should be Cam. I know it's voluntary, but you know what? New coach, new playbook. Get your ass in Cam. The answer is no. He's not going to have 1,000 yards total.
Here's a quick question for Paul, follow-up question. San Francisco calls up Shane. We'll give you Deebo Samuel for Barkley and Tony.
Done.
No draft picks. You don't it?
Done. Yep.
I agree with you 100%. Get rid
Yeah.
of both.
Done.
I will
All right,
tell you
Kurt.
this, though. I will tell you this. Barkley and Shanahan's system, I think that's a fair deal for both teams. I do.
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
too. All right, Kurt, I got a couple more players for you. Albert O, 700 yards.
Listen, he likes his he does like his tight ends, but I just think there's too many weapons before him. Patrick and Hamler and Judy and Sutton. So I'll go under that.
Okay. For Sis and Paul, I got a different one. I got Sterling Shepard, 12 games played.
That ain't happening.
Under.
Yeah, I agree. Who knows when he's going to even be available?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's hurt too much.
Here's a
Yeah.
good one for Kurt. Cortland Sutton stays healthy, Kurt. I got 1,200 yards.
Yeah, over.
And I got 8 touchdowns.
Over.
Okay. For Sis and Paul, Leonard Williams, 7 sacks.
I can see it. I think if they can draft a stud end, I can see him having 7 sacks this year. Yeah. So I
Sis, you think over or under for him?
Paul just nailed it. They need somebody on the other side to put in some pressure so he can do his thing.
And
if
I
they
think
do